Hey guys, where's my hand? Hey guys, welcome back to the Financial Minute. My name's Josh. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about the dark side of money and how it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Let's get into it. Money is a medium of exchange, an expression, a way to show that you have something that you attained through a process you put in the effort or you gained the experience to make something happen for somebody. And you ask, well, why is it valuable? Here in the United States, it's valuable generally because the government says it is. That's basically what it comes down to. It's not backed by gold or silver or anything. It's valuable because the government says it's valuable. The government backs up the money. So if you have faith in our case, the United States government, then you have faith in the currency. If today's your first time visiting the channel, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. I really appreciate every one of you guys. Let's talk about money. With 78% of people living paycheck to paycheck, there's definitely an issue out there. It's not hard to see. Financial freedom is quite rare. A lot of people don't even know it's optional. They don't realize that you can actually live a life where you don't have to rely on a paycheck. Let's say you lost your job and it takes you a couple weeks or months to get another job. You have the money that you're not stressing out over, hey, I need that job next week or else I can't make my payments, and you go into credit card debt, etc. Another thing, America leads the world in credit card debt. More people have massive amounts of credit card debt here in the United States than anywhere in the world. Back in the day, it used to be that you got, a fancy car or fancy house just to impress people. Nowadays, you buy stuff to impress people online through social media, whether it be TikTok or Facebook or Twitter, you name it, your favorite platform. People are buying things just to impress people online and because they see things online. You see a new pair of sneakers online, pick one out. Do I need these sneakers? Well, I really want them, but do you need them? Do you have sneakers? Well, yeah, I guess they're old. Do they have holes in them? Can you still use them? Well, no, they're actually not that old. They're maybe 6 months old. So really, it's a want, not a need. I'm not saying you shouldn't get sneakers, but a lot of it comes down to going back and figuring out what our wants and needs are. Really, do we need this? Do we want this? Some people might say having a Netflix subscription is a need. I would argue that it's a want. And it's not all our fault, okay? The government, the way it spends its money, it really puts money in big corporations, which then promote commercialism, materialism, buying more stuff. At the end of the day, they can't make you buy the stuff, at least not as of yet. Therefore, it really does come down to you and your spending habits. What do you spend your money on? We need to become more production oriented. While our government really pushes us, and society especially really pushes us to be consumption orientated, how much does it cost? Do I have enough money to buy it? Rather than production orientated, can I make something that'll profit me even more? So we focus on, what can I buy rather than what can I make? That leads down a spiraling path of paycheck to paycheck. Living the rat race. You have to be at your job 9 to 5, 5 days a week, or else you're not going to be able to make your debts. You're not going to be able to pay your bills. That's called living the rat race, and that starts with focusing on consumption rather than production. So how do we stop this rat race? How do we stop living the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle? It starts with pen and a piece of paper. You gotta write down our needs and our wants. We need to figure out first what our needs versus our wants are. Then we gotta figure out assets versus liabilities. Let's start with needs versus wants. You just write down everything you buy every month. It's really easy. Go online, download the app for your banking company, or go print it off somewhere. Look through your expenses. Just write them out. And then take every one and put it into 2 columns. Column 1, the needs. Column 2, the wants. And go through it. Every time you see something that's it's questionable, if it's questionable, it's probably a want, because if you can live without it, then it's not a need. You might be surprised how much of your paycheck goes towards wants versus needs. You don't have to eat out every day of the week. You don't have to eat out at all, technically. Of course, it's easier and, sometimes it makes sense, but you gotta remember, when you eat out, what are you eating? Are you eating healthy food or are you eating unhealthy food? So not only is it expensive, but it's also hard on your body. If it's fast food or junk food, you're eating food that's literally going to cost you later in life. We're not going to get too much into how other choices affect your life down the road, but really it's not just about money. It's also about your health. If you're not healthy, what's the point of having money? Taking care of your health along the way, I think, really important. Okay, so we figured out our needs versus our wants. We realize we have X amount of dollars every month that, hey, this is extra money. We can invest that money into liabilities, or we can invest that money into assets. If we invest it into liabilities, it's not really an investment. If we spend that money on liabilities, we are not creating an asset. If we spend that money on an asset, it's gonna produce more of that asset down the road. So basically it's gonna multiply, like sheep. You buy an asset and it multiplies. You buy a liability and eventually it's worth nothing and it costs you along the way. As I was growing up, I didn't start out knowing a lot of this stuff. I still don't know it all, but I'm learning. First thing I learned at a certain age is certain things cost a lot of money. For instance, cars. I would spend too much money on cars and it just would cost me. You don't realize, I just think of, back in the day I used to think of a car as, hey, it's the first price, whatever, $7,000, that's how much the car costs. But really, that's not true. You have things like depreciation, number one cost. You have things like expenses for repairs, expenses to register, maintain, and put fuel in the vehicle, especially nowadays. There's more to a liability than just the initial upfront cost. Whereas an investment, there's more to an investment than just the upfront cost. It's paying you along the way. It's getting bigger. So liabilities go down in value, assets go up in value. I figured out cars were expensive. It took me a long time to figure that out. It took me a long time to learn and stop spending money on more car than you need. Just get what you need to get back and forth to where you need to go until you're at financial freedom, when you can afford to spend on a car that maybe is just a toy. But you're not there yet until you can, you're definitely not there yet if you're living paycheck to paycheck. So when you're living paycheck to paycheck, you just drive the bare minimum. It's gotta be reliable, it's gotta get you from A to B, and that's it. A lot of people think, well, what am I gonna have to give up for this financial freedom? Well, you are gonna have to give up something. You're gonna have to give up a lot, actually. You're gonna have to give up maybe that latte, you're gonna have to give up maybe fancy car. You know what you're gonna have to give up, really. Really, you do know what you're gonna have to give up. You might have to give up eating out all the time, but in order to create something down the road, you're gonna have to, it's gonna cost you. It just will, it has to. It doesn't work. I wish it worked the other way where you just, it just happened, but it doesn't happen. This is a slow, drawn out process, but you won't regret it down the road. When you're not living paycheck to paycheck, you can take time off from work without worrying about, am I gonna be able to pay my bills next week? Am I gonna be able to put food on the table? It's worth it, guys. It's really worth it. Start writing down these expenses, start writing down these liabilities, assets, start taking notes. Figure this all out. You will enjoy it down the road, living financially free, not having to worry about putting food on the table the next week if you can't go into work for some reason. It's totally worth it, but it really has to start here. You gotta get it in your heart. You have to get it up in your head. You gotta start. You can't give up, because it's gonna be tough along the way. You're gonna run into unexpected expenses. You're gonna be tempted to put them on credit cards. You're going to be tempted to pay the interest on those credit cards and not pay off that debt, but you really can't do that. You gotta bite the bullet, pay these things off as soon as possible. Maybe it means next week you're eating beans and rice, but you gotta focus on the long game, not just the day-to-day. Well guys, thank you so much for joining me today. As always, I really do appreciate it, and thumbs up really does help out the channel. If you need any help, just leave a comment down in the description. I will do my best to answer all questions, and remember, only you can make your financial dreams come true. Don't delay, get started today, be safe, God bless guys. I will see you all next video. Bye.